Hey, my name is Chase. I'm the teaching pastor at the Avenue Church, and we just started a new series called Dear God. It's a series on prayer. What we're going to do throughout the series is we're going to have a devotional in the middle of the week, and this is our first one, so thank you for joining us. I think it's safe to say that whether you've been a Christian for 5 minutes, 5 years, or 50 years, you probably struggle with prayer. Throughout the series, we want to destigmatize prayer. It is okay to wrestle with it, to find it difficult. We're speaking to God beyond ourselves, and sometimes we find it very difficult when God isn't speaking back. So we're going to look into it. We're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive throughout the series to be able to identify these things in our lives that kind of disrupt our prayer lives. Some of it might be you're just intimidated to pray. You've heard these pious prayers from people at church or wherever you find yourself, and you think to yourself, there's no way I'll ever be that eloquent in my speech. That's all right. Some people might even feel like you have too much shame. There's something that is in the way to where if you go to God, God will expose something vulnerable in your life, and you don't want to do that. So that might hinder your prayer. Some of us are afraid to pray because we're scared that God is going to tell us or ask us to do something that we're not willing to do. These are all normal, realistic reasons why people find prayer difficult. And we're going to address these throughout the series. But the thing we talked about on Sunday that is very practical that we can all do is we realize that we are a distracted people. I could go through study upon study to prove why we are distracted, but I don't have to convince you anything. You know we're distracted. In fact, you might even be using this devotional as a distraction while you're at work because of whatever reason. We're constantly on our phones. I asked everybody on Sunday to check their screen time. Look at the screen time. Maybe do it in private because sometimes it's pretty embarrassing. But the challenge is simply this. As we approach this series and as we go to God, we pause. Now, pause feels foreign to us because we don't pause very often in life. When we sit in traffic, we can scroll now. When we're flying on a plane, we can have our phones or entertainment to numb the time. We're not good at pausing. So as we go to the feet of Jesus in prayer, we pause. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." When we are still, we're able to hear things that we were otherwise unable to hear when there's constant movement and noise. Just because we don't hear God doesn't mean God isn't speaking. God is speaking constantly, I believe. Like Elijah in the cave, looking for God's voice in the fire, in the earthquake, in the wind. It wasn't there. It was in the whisper. So let's position ourselves, let's posture ourselves to be able to hear the whisper of God so that we may know God's will for our life. I truly believe this is the best way to live life, to be people who lead by example at the Avenue Church, people who lead by example, who stop, take a moment, put the phone down. You can even stop this devotional right now, but we pause. And as we pause, we trust God. We trust God will speak. And it's going to take time. It's going to take practice. That's okay. Whatever that looks like for you, if it's limiting screen time, if it's picking a certain time and place during the day, if it's just taking 10 seconds when you're doing the dishes and your kids are driving you nuts, pause. We pause together. We hear God together. We're excited about this series. Join us next week as we do another one of these devotionals. It's going to be very practical. Prayer, it can be difficult, but it doesn't have to be. Let's do this together, and I truly believe that the voice of God will speak, and we'll be better for it. Assalamu alaikum. No, cancel that part.